My name is Hazel. I am 18 years old. I live in Los Angeles. I have always wanted to live like other teenagers, going to parties, trips, and having fun. But I grew up as the only daughter of strict, loving parents. To them, I was everything. They protected me. They were careful with me. And sometimes I thought they were too possessive. When my best friends, Lily and James, persuaded me to go on a college trip, I wanted to say yes more than anything. But my parents hesitated. They said, "You are too young, Hazel. The world is not safe." I begged them. I said, "Please, just this once. I'll be careful. I'll be safe. I promise." And finally, after days of pleading, they agreed. If only I knew what would happen, I would have never left home. We told our parents we were going to a farmhouse, somewhere quiet, safe, but that was a lie, because instead, Lily and James took me to an old abandoned factory. The moment I saw it, my heart sank. The walls were broken, the windows were shattered, the air smelled of dust and rust. It was the kind of place where bad things happen. I shouted, "This isn't what we told them. I don't want to be here." But Lily rolled her eyes. "Don't be such a coward, Hazel. You are 18 now. You need to grow up. Stop acting like a child." And James laughed nervously, trying to hide his own fear. I didn't want to look weak, so I followed them inside. And that was the biggest mistake of my life. Because that's when they came. A gang of men, faces hard, eyes cold. Before we could run, they surrounded us. They tied our hands. They threw us into a van. That night, my life changed forever. The gang told us we belong to them now. They said, "Do what we say or you die." And one of them grabbed my arm. Another shoved James to the ground. And Lily screamed as they tied her hands behind her back. Everything I thought I knew about the world ended that night. We were their property now. Lily was brave. She stood tall and shouted, "I will never obey you." But bravery is dangerous in the wrong place. That night, they dragged her out in front of us and they killed her. Her scream is something I will never forget. It was the sound of innocence dying. James and I froze. We wanted to fight. But after what we saw, we were too afraid. So we obeyed. The days turned into weeks. The weeks turned into months. And soon, 2 years passed. We were their puppets. They forced us to carry out illegal work, deliveries of drugs, carrying weapons, lying to strangers, and every mistake had consequences. When James tried to hide money from them, they beat him until he couldn't walk. When I asked for food after 2 days of hunger, they locked me in a dark room for 3 nights. And once when I refused an order, they pushed my head under cold water until I nearly drowned. I learned quickly. Survival meant silence. Every night I cried myself to sleep. I thought of my parents. I thought of my mother's warm hands, her gentle voice. I thought of my father's worried eyes. I thought of home. And I wondered if I would ever see it again. Then one day, everything changed. The gang leader gave me an assignment. He handed me an address for a delivery. When I read it, my hands shook. It was my hometown. For the first time in 2 years, I was going home. My heart raced. I thought I will see my parents again. I will see my mother. I will see my father. That thought carried me through the journey. For hours, I imagined running into my mother's arms. For hours, I imagined her tears of joy. But when I arrived, reality shattered my hope. My mother was gone. She had died months ago. The neighbors told me she had cried for me until her last breath. She waited for her daughter who never came home, and I was too late. I felt my knees weaken. The package slipped from my hands. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. The gang had stolen 2 years of my life, and now they had stolen my chance to say goodbye. That night, something broke inside me. I realized the torture wasn't just the beatings or the starvation. The real torture was knowing what I had lost forever. But fate still had one more twist. The police had been watching. The missing reports, the whispers, the investigation. It all led back to the factory. One night, the raid began. Gunshots, sirens, chaos everywhere. James grabbed my hand. We ran through the smoke, the shouting, the flashing lights. We didn't stop until we reached the arms of the police. And for the first time in 2 years, I felt safe. I told them everything, the kidnappings, the torture, the deliveries, and finally the truth about Lily. I am free now, but I'm not the same Hazel anymore. I carry the scars of those 2 years. I carry the memory of my best friend's death. And I carry the regret of not seeing my mother one last time. But I survived. And survival sometimes is the only victory we get.